So this is D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die. It's an episodic point-and-click sort of adventure game where it's a bit more unique than some of the other games that you might have seen in the genre, and it came out before a lot of them, so before it became commonplace for a lot of episodic, emotional-driven choice narratives. This one was released, it had its advertising at E3 and was marketed to be one of the Xbox Live exclusives that would only be on Xbox. Now that sort of detrimented the game a little bit, because whilst it was released on Xbox and very much aimed at the Kinect market, because there are a lot of scenes in the game that are very unique and very good, where rather than quick time events where you'd have to click a button, it's more motion based. So if you had a Kinect controller, you're going to be doing these motion controls. And even with the PC release, it's a lot of swiping and moving on the mouse throughout the cutscenes to do the things. And you get graded on how effective you are and how quick you are, but also there's multiple choice on the narrative choice paths as well, so you get graded based on whether you're doing it as David would have responded or whether you respond however you want. You know, you'll get different choices and different reactions from the different people, but you know, maybe following the true path is a bit better than not doing it. At the same time, it's very much an investigation game, so you're free to look around and investigate. Now, not everything is quite as it seems, so whilst you might think that you're limited to 4 directions, you can actually peek and look around a bit, and whilst you would have had the controller option for the Kinect, which would have worked in a very different way, so that would have responded to you actually physically peeking on the keyboard and mouse. You know, maybe it loses a bit with you having to peek and look around, but it enables you to look outside of the frame and maybe see things from a slightly different perspective and find hidden clues and hidden things. And you might think that whilst you're on the flight and on the plane, you're limited to being just there, but going back home is not just to recharge. There are a lot of mini events, and maybe you can find clues for the investigation back in your home from things that you might have seen from an outside perspective, you know, so it's hidden case files or, you know, maybe even books and research that you have that would help you discover clues that would be helpful in the events on the plane. Now, it's a very time travel sort of problematic game, and that's what I like about the story. So it's a very convoluted, very unusual time travel events, and his wife and the lady on the plane are very similar characters, but they have like generational aspects with the numbers of dots on their eyes. So maybe it's David travelling through time, because again there are hints where his future self perhaps visits his case and talks to him off the case. Unfortunately, because of the problems with the Xbox Live release, it was not really visible to many people, so it didn't get a physical release. It was hidden in an online marketplace and not really well advertised once it was released. So they only created 2 episodes and a prologue in advance. So it never really finished season 1. It never really finished the plotline and the storyline. So while it's released on Steam as season 1, it's only 2 episodes long. That hints that maybe there might be a release in the future from AGM Playism, and Playism do make some very good games. But this was made in 2015 and has the feeling of abandonment, because, you know, it reaches a cliffhanger where you start to learn some things, but the plot is never really released. Now there are screenshots and things to maybe an unreleased next episode that wasn't put out because it didn't do so well on the Xbox Live Marketplace. But now that it's on Steam, I would think that maybe it should, you know, its exclusivity has passed, and maybe they should finish off at least the season, because it's a very good game, and I feel like there was a lot to discover out there, and a lot that maybe would have multiple endings depending on whether you found all of the pay events or, you know, you've found all the hidden clues. And there's definitely a feeling that there's some sort of greater storyline with the Doctor and David and Case, and knowing things that maybe he doesn't want to portray to you, and finding the D, which there are many hints to what the D could be. You know, is the D the bad guy? Is the D a daughter that's hinted at that, you know, you only find through the hidden clues? So, you know, maybe the true D is the daughter, but the subterfuge D is the bad guy that you find. And, you know, depending on whether you've gone through all the storylines, you make the decision on what you can find the D to be. And is the daughter the cat creature lady that's a mix-up in his mind because, you know, obviously he's got some mental problems and he's been shot in the head or something, perhaps? And there's hints to all that throughout the game, depending on how well you investigate. And the doctor clearly operating on you to fix your brain surgery. It all hints towards that sort of thing to me. So, you know, it's mixed up in his events, and maybe his wife didn't die. Maybe it's him that's the one that's dying and dead and, you know, being operated on. And actually, that could be another storyline that goes in there, because he definitely has head injuries. But that's what I want to know about the game, and that's why I want it to continue more. And it's just unfortunate that they never actually finished the game, because it's a really gripping drama. It's a gripping episodic game, and you just want to know the rest of the answers, but it's unfortunate that they ruined it. And the Connect elements in it as well add such a lot to the gameplay. And, you know, maybe if you could connect your Connect to the PC, yeah, I know that's a complicated sentence, that would be able to make you have the motion effects in the PC game as well. But even then, the motion events on the mouse really do still work. You know, they still have a gripping feel, and it's like, you know, you're doing the power to it and you feel like you're moving the character. Whereas, I guess, on the Kinect, you'd be moving a lot more and flopping about and doing the actual movements and the dodges and the things, and it would feel so cool. But, that being said, it's really well done, and it's such a shame that they haven't been able to finish it. So, you know, in the 3 years since, I think maybe it's time for the rest of Dark Dreams Don't Die to get released. So that's why I'm doing this highlight as well, because it's such a good game and it deserves to be finished off. So hopefully, if enough people buy it, maybe they'll start to release the rest of the game, because this is a game that really deserves to have the rest of it finished. The answer to a murder lies in your past that you will never get to complete, because no answer is out there, because they haven't actually finished the game. It's only reached episode 2, so, you know, it leaves it off on a cliffhanger of what seeds, Duncan, where the hell is this game going? Who knows? Hopefully they'll pick it up, because I want to see it finished off and I want to see the rest of the game. So, if you're watching Playism and the game creators and the writers, Sperry, finish the game, release the unreleased episodes. You know you had it all written, you know you had it all planned. Just make the game, even if it is a PC release. You know, the Xbox, it didn't do so well, but now that it's a PC release, you know, now that you're free from that contract, you are free to finish the game and to have it on all markets, perhaps, because, you know, whilst Xbox didn't work for you with its limitations and its, you know, they just hid it away rather than marketing it and having it as an exclusive, and a really good exclusive that they could have got a lot of money out of if only it had a physical release and all these other things. But now that it's out there, I'm putting it out there that this deserves to be finished off and it deserves to be played, you know. Go check it out for yourself. This was Dark Dreams Don't Die. Except it did die because it didn't get finished.